Yo, what's up guys? It's your boy back again with a new video. Hope you guys enjoy. Today we're going to do something a little bit new, something that I've been working on for a little bit now. I've been trying to figure out a name for this sort of show or even get the show started. Like it's been really just like I was trying to figure out my scheduling and all that sort of stuff. I've been really wayward with my schedules lately, so I really appreciate everyone holding in there for me. But I want to do like a little show where I can review and preview in the same show, kind of go through the weekend of footy and give my thoughts on how each team is going while also talking about the matchups coming up in the weekend. So still trying to figure out the name for the show. Maybe Off the Pine is something that's playing on my mind a little bit. I do see there's like a Spotify show for a basketball show with that same name, and that kind of like threw me off the name. I thought I was the smartest cunt when I came out with it, and then the next minute I saw that and I'm like, fuck. Like, I got to figure out a name. But enough for all that. We're just going to go through the weekend of footy and we're just going to start and see if it becomes consistent. Hopefully it does. Hopefully I really enjoy just doing this every week. And yeah, I enjoy talking about footy. So it's just going to open up a whole new thing. And you can also get my tips for the weekend this way. So hopefully you guys enjoy. If you do, please comment down below your thoughts and let's get straight into the video. First game of the weekend, we got the Storm versus the Roosters at Amy Park. Big game for both teams here. First of all, we'll touch on the Roosters and how they've been looking over the last couple of weeks. So they had a big win last week against the Eels, 28-20, where I honestly thought they were in control for most of the game. I thought their forward pack looked so much more damaging in this game. Obviously, a couple of forwards getting back into this team. JWH looking amazing. Lindsay Collins looking nice. I think in the next couple of weeks, you got Matt Lodge and all that sort of stuff like coming back into this team. Losing Teddy was a real vital part in this game, but they didn't really lose their composure. They just kept chugging along, putting some really nice score on the Eels there. But the Eels brought it back sort of more so towards the end, but I also just like, I thought they weren't really in this game. To the credit to the Eels, they had a couple of sin bins and this and that. So their team was a bit disjointed for a lot of time in this game, but still the Roosters, I thought their attack was really humming in this one. It's probably the best attack they sort of looked this year, most likely. Sammy Walker looked nice. He's looking better with the goal kicking and this and that. Kiri's combination with him is starting to grow a little bit. Joseph Suoli'i, getting that crack at that fullback spot there, looking really, really nice at the weekend, but doesn't hold on to the fullback spot coming into this weekend because the man Joey Manu is back. It's a bit of chat on the weekend. Who's going to play fullback for the Roosters? Now, Teddy's out for the weekend, or yeah, I think 11-day stand down for HIA, obviously with the big hit that got put on his chin. I kind of agree going Joey Manu, Golden Boot winner. He just proved it over the like World Cup period. He's probably like one of the better fullbacks, even like that's playing center at the moment. So I do believe that he's going to hold down that spot and play really, really nice there. But then again, you know, Joseph Suoli'i will get his shot sometime later on. I just feel like, you know, now he's going to the Union. They're just going to hold him at center for a bit. Like if there's injuries, they'll put him back there, but they won't put a whole lot of time into him at fullback there when they don't really need to. Joey Manu's still part of the squad, and he's a gun fullback when they need to too. So that team is just stacked to the brim. I thought, honestly, it was probably Brendan Smith's better game over the weekend too. He had a really nice line break assist, I'm pretty sure, in this one. Yeah, they're starting to click a little bit, and it's starting to worry teams now. But it's a very tough matchup this weekend coming into it. Last person I want to touch on too is Jackson Bolo, someone that I never rated really coming into the Rabbits. Like I'd never thought he was really first grade standard coming into that. Now he's starting to look very, very good, and he's looking very good for the Roosters, which is a bit worrying sign. He's a bigger body out there, and he's just got some silky skills now. He's really holding it together. I think the biggest thing that was holding me back from first grade standard was his confidence. I just felt like his confidence was shot ever since he got to first grade. Now he's starting to find his confidence. He's starting to put games together. He's scoring tries. He's try assists. Like, yeah, he's having a really good season at the moment. So props to him. He's really held it in. Obviously, after all the shit he got given by the Rabbits and all that sort of stuff back in the last like couple of years. So moving on to the Storm, obviously the biggest news in the weekend, we got Jerome Hughes back in this lineup, and this is someone that they really needed the last couple of weeks. Even though last week they got a really nice win over the Rabbits, where the defensive effort there was fucking amazing. Even though missing like 52 tackles in that game, I thought they were very, very good in that one, where they just grit and grinded to a victory. They still look very slick there with Munster making a couple of big line breaks. It could have been even more. And they held a Rabbits team that has got probably one of the best attacks in the competition to only 10 points. So that's obviously the biggest tick there. Even though they missed 52 tackles, a lot of that is just like stats, and that can lie sometimes. A lot of like the big tackles that were made. Harry Grant, this try-saving tackle. Nick Meaney with that try-saving tackle, and AJ. Yeah, just some big moments that the Melbourne Storm won in that game. And it's good to see Jerome Hughes back. Eli Katoa is going to love having Jerome Hughes back on that side. Expect some couple of short balls for a couple of line breaks and maybe some try assists from Eli Katoa. He's got a little nice passing game now that I haven't seen from him at the Warriors. He always had skill. It's just consistency and like all the little stuff that he's doing at the Melbourne Storm that's really impressing me. So who am I going to think is going to win this game? I'm swaying towards the Melbourne Storm at home, even though all I said about the Roosters, they're looking very nice, they're clicking air, all that sort of stuff. I just think the Melbourne Storm at home are going to be tough with Jerome Hughes coming back. I think they are just going to grit and grind their victory here. Like Amy Park is like really hard to get to. It's 1-12 though. Like I feel like it's going to go really all the way to the death. Because the Roosters are a really good lineup at the moment. I just feel like the Roosters at the moment, even though, as I said, they're starting to click, they've always been that team to start the year, like very like this. They're trying to figure out like combinations. You look like they're clicking one week and then maybe they're not. And then towards the end of the season, they just click in again. They look fucking amazing. So I believe that's sort of the way they're going to be going at the moment. But I feel like the Storm are going to struggle with all those big forwards out. Kamikamitha starting in this one. So hopefully that helps them with like JWH and Lindsay Collins and all that sort of stuff. So yeah, I'm swaying away to the Storm only because they're at home, really. Yeah, I'm going with that. Next game of the weekend, we got the Rabbits versus the Bulldogs at Accor Stadium in Sydney. This is going to be a fucking cracker because this is that Easter matchup that has always delivered. And I feel like the Doggies are always up for this contest, especially, last couple of years. We all remember the James Graham incident and like the Adam Reynolds stuff. I don't know. They've always had cracker games in this one. Touching on the Doggies to start with, I've been really impressed with them the last couple of weeks. Obviously, last week getting a really nice 1-point victory over the Cowboys in Golden Point where Matty Burton, man, just slotted that field goal from the corner. I thought Josh Adokar was fucking amazing in that game. He almost pulled off that try to win the game, which would have been like very much Billy Slater-esque, like Lockie to freaking Slater in Origin. Obviously not on that same stage, but I thought like it just looks so similar, where like that little chip kick over the top and then Adokar another chip over the top. If it happened, I would have just called Billy Slater. That's just fucking amazing. But they've had some big standouts with like Jacob Preston coming in and looking fucking awesome, just grit and grinding all through his career, but he's got amazing skill as well. He's scoring tries. He's looking really, really strong there in defense as well. So it's great to see someone young and coming into this competition. I got him for Supercoach. It's fucking amazing. Obviously, no Fatala Mariner, which is a bit of a disappointment there. A couple of other like little injury problems where they got Preston with a hand injury, but he's still named. Maxi King with an eye injury, but he's still named. They got Harrison Edwards. I haven't seen much of this Harrison Edwards, but he's starting at lock. Hopefully he goes pretty well. I'd love to see him just, kill it for this one. But they're obviously still waiting on big names like Tavita Pengai Jr. and all that sort of stuff where they're just injury depleted at the moment. I feel really sorry for them, but that makes that gritty, grinding performance last week so much better. I actually thought Fleno's game last week was pretty good as well, so they're really starting to click in a gear. Perham's starting to really find his feet now too. Alamonte looks fucking strong as hell. Like, he's been awesome too. So, yeah, full props to the Bulldogs team last couple of weeks. They've been really, really good. And with the Rabbits, unfortunately, not getting the win last week against the Melbourne Storm, and they didn't look that... Like, they looked very clunky in moments and this and that. And I felt like, towards the end of the game, they left it a little bit too late where they were trying to do too much in that short amount of time. And that's where the errors really came into this game. I felt like if they stuck to the game plan, they probably could have maybe just done it. There was moments there where I thought they were starting to get the momentum shift, but they just threw silly offloads or this and that. And that's what they're really disappointing about them. Latrell not really getting... too much dirty into the last couple of weeks. I'm hearing that all through the media, but you guys got to remember that's just not the type of player he is at the moment. Like, it's just not the type of player he is. He's not Teddy. He's not like Dylan Edwards. He's not going to make all those run meters and this and that, but you just know in the moments he's going to step up and he's going to make the right play. He's really good for just that out the back, cut out ball to like AJ or something for a try. Like, he gets the big moments. He just wasn't able to get the big moments in this game. And there was a couple of moments there where he made some really nice plays. It's just the Storm's cover defense really held him out. So I think they're going to be better for it. I want to shout out Isaac Thompson. He looked very, very strong in that last game. He's been looking strong for how long, but he hadn't get too much of like opportunity for the last couple of weeks. A lot of like not getting the ball and this and that, but he's looked very strong. Ilias looks strong. Campbell Graham's looked amazing to start the season. Very injury depleted through the middle as well. I think that's the same thing for most teams this year, but big one with the Rabbits here too. But with Totola back this week, I think that's just going to help him so much more against the Doggies here. So I'm going to sway towards the Rabbits. I think the Rabbits going to get it done. I feel sorry for you Doggies, but I'm thinking it's going to be a 13 plus, especially only because like the injuries and that. If you hold it to 1-12, fucking amazing, man. Like, honestly, with all the injuries that you've had, yeah, that would be amazing effort for you guys there. If you look at your bench, like you got Joshy Reynolds is back there, which is great to see. I love seeing Joshy Reynolds there. But Curtis Morin, Jaden Tanner, Jackson Toppinett. I've been waiting for Jackson to get an actual play in NRL at the moment the last couple of weeks because he's so good. He's a talented player. I rate him highly. I wouldn't be surprised if he gets a bigger crack at that 13 role than Harrison Edwards. As I said, I don't know Harrison Edwards too much. But obviously, when they got players like Reed Marnie, that's always going to be in the contest. I think 1 to 12 may be the way to go here. I'm not too sure. I'm swaying the Rabbits 13 plus if I'm not being too swayed by anything. I just think with all the outs and the Rabbits with Totola back and this and that, I think they're just going to be a little bit too strong. And next game, we've got the Cowboys versus the Dolphins at Queensland Country Bank Stadium in Townsville. And first of all, I want to touch on the Cowboys. Disappointing loss last week against the Doggies. I did feel like they were in control of most of that game last week, but just letting the Doggies have a little bit of a sniff coming into it, and the Doggies really made them pay at the end there. Dearden had a really nice game. I felt like, all their big boys are trying to stand up, but a lot of big injuries and suspensions and stuff have really hampered them this year. They got Ruben Cotter back this week from what I hear, judging by team list. I'm pretty sure he's in team list. Yeah, Ruben Cotter's back in this team. Tommy Chester getting that crack at that 14, off the bench. He's going to be playing more of that 14 role anyway, because I've really rated Tommy Chester the last couple of weeks. I thought he's been fucking amazing for them to stand up, but he's just a different player than Drinky. I feel like his running game is really, really strong though, Tommy Chester. He seems to bounce off people and just find himself in really good positions. So I think he'll do really well in that 14 role if all the players come back. I would like to see him there other than maybe Jakey Granville. But then again, Jakey Granville just holds in a spot. He's just one of those sort of players. But I think the biggest in here, we got Drinky back this week for the Cowboys. There's someone they really needed the last couple of weeks. Just that really different edge in attack where he's just popping up everywhere. He's making really good plays. And him and Townsend and Dearden had a really good connection, and Robson as well. So it's good to see them back. Obviously, still no Jeremiah Nanai and all that sort of stuff. Really sucks to not see him in that team at the moment with suspension and all that sort of stuff. But he'll be back sooner or later. And I think when they get all their boys back, they're going to be a very strong team. I still don't buy into that whole thing of the Cowboys aren't that great this year. I just feel like they're starting very slow. There was a big World Cup break and this and that. I feel like when they find their straps, they're going to be really hard to stop. And it could start in this game because I really do expect them to put some sort of number on the Dolphins in this one, unfortunately. Moving on to the Dolphins, they had a whole lot of injuries pile up and just getting smacked by the Dragons, which is really disappointing. But there's not really much you can say here. As I said, injuries, and they haven't got that much depth here. It looks like they might be playing Nikorima at 6 in this one. Obviously just shows they're the type of, Nikorima's a great player. I rate Nikorima, but they're really starting to scrape the bottom of the barrel. If Nikorima gets injured or something like that, who do they go to after that? It's really, really tough for them at the moment. Hopefully they really hold together. They still look very strong on the team list in my eyes. Nikorima's not too bad at 6. He did a job for the Warriors, this and that. It's consistency that really hampered him, but he's going to have a long stint there because I think Milford's out for a hamstring injury for a decent amount of time and all that sort of stuff. So, and then, obviously SOS is out with a pec injury for a decent amount of time as well. But other than that, Jesse Bromwich, Jeremy Marshall-King's back. Herman Esse is in this lineup, which is really, really good to have him there. I like Herman Esse if he plays very, very nice. If he plays consistent, he's a very strong player. Kenny Bromwich, Lemuelu, and all that sort of stuff. Tommy Gilbert, they're not too bad, but still, injuries are really hampering them at the moment. And I feel like they're going to try and make it a contest, but it's just going to blow out towards the end there. I think the Cowboys are a bit too strong for them. So we'll have to see how we go. Cowboys 13 plus in this one. Next up, we got Penrith versus Manly at Bluebet Stadium in Penrith. First of all, I want to touch on Penrith in the last couple of weeks. They're really starting to click into gear now. Beating the Raiders 53-12 is a fucking massive effort there. I know the Raiders come into the second half did not look that great, but I just feel like the Panthers just too strong. The way they played that game plan out last week was very, very nice. They really depleted the Raiders through the middle and all that sort of stuff, and then just attacked them on their edges towards the second half. I felt like as soon as Cleary and all that sort of stuff click into gear, the way they're starting to click into gear now, they're going to be very, very tough coming into the next couple of weeks, especially when they got their man, Zach Hosking, looking very, very nice now. He's really holding down a spot there. I do believe that he may push Luke Garner out. And I feel like when Liam Martin comes back, I feel like he's going to go to the left edge and Hosking's going to stay with Cleary on that right edge. He's been having a really nice combination with Cleary there. I feel like what gets Hosking a really good praise is his work ethic, and he's just always in a game. He makes big runs, so many big tackles. Like, he doesn't really miss too many tackles, and he's just a really sturdy player that has a lot of attacking upsides, as it seems, scoring tries left, right, and center. So really good to see Zach Hoskins holding down a spot at the moment, but I feel like only time will tell where Penrith will go, especially when Liam Martin comes back into this lineup. Good to see Sonny Luke is back in this one. I feel like it's going to revitalize that bench like hooker role. I feel like he should get a lot more minutes than what he has been the last couple of weeks. Even that last game where he got knocked out, I was waiting for him for how long in that game, and then he comes on the field, gets knocked out. I'm like, even if he didn't, like, I wonder how many minutes he would have got. Like, I feel like he's getting 20 to 30, and like, honestly, I could see him getting like, he should be getting up to like 50s and stuff like that. I really honestly think the way they should run is like Kenny is on there for the first like 10 to 20, take the grunt out of the game, put Sonny Luke there, have him running, then like coming just off the, like, you know, a little bit of change over there, and then maybe, I don't know, that's my honest opinion. I feel like, you know, Mitch Kenny is really good to bring off it as a 13 role as well. But obviously you got Isaiah Yeo that plays long minutes there. So I'm not too sure, but it's going to be good to see Sonny Luke back, especially when I have him in Supercoach and that. Hopefully he goes really well. Moving on to Manly and how, like, yeah, I feel like their performance last week was very up and down. Like, they came out, they looked guns a-blazing against the Knights, ending with a 32-all draw. And honestly, I feel like it's more disappointing from Manly's perspective in this one. And I feel like it's more props to the Knights for getting this draw. Like, it just felt that way, honestly. You know, Manly looked like they were in control to start with, and just the Knights just gritted and grinded back into this contest. So, a bit disappointing there, but just knowing the team that the Manly Seagulls have on paper, I was just waiting for those guys to click in the gear, and they'll all come in like, they'll just kill it. Like, you saw the attacking upside the last, like, how many weeks? They're scoring tries like nothing. Like, 32 points is nothing to scoff at. Like, they're scoring tries. It's just defensively, they seem to have lapses and stuff. It should be good to, like, see Joshy Schuster is back, and hopefully he holds down that edge a little bit better than what they did last week. But then again, I see Joshy Schuster have some defensive lapses as well. So we'll have to see how that goes. But it would be good to see in attack. I think they're just a whole different team with Schuster at that 6 role. The way he just engages defenders and has that really nice out the back ball, that real short ball too. Yeah, the guy is amazing. So I love watching him play footy. Jason Saab is back too. Obviously, Tui Pelotu is out with injury. No Kohler still out with knee injury as well. I think they're both going to be out for quite a bit. So obviously, Harper and Saab is back on that side. It reminds me of the old Manly lineup there, but honestly, this whole team, like, it's on the back of Tommy Turbo, and Tommy, honestly, at the moment, still doesn't look 100%. But when he gets to 100%, I'm just like, I can't wait to see what Tommy Turbo will look like. Just thinking, like, Supercoach wise, like, he's getting nearly 100 points a game, and he's still not like 100%. So I can only imagine what he'll be when he gets back. For me, I think the Panthers may do a number here, but then again, I think Manly's, like, you know, attack's good enough to hold in. I just think Manly may fall off at the end, and the Penrith Panthers will probably do them. So I'll go Penrith 1 to 12, but I can definitely see this maybe going Penrith 13 plus if everything, like, if they really slip away at the end here. You know what I mean? Like, the Penrith Panthers are very clinical. So yeah, Penrith 1 to 12. Moving on to the Broncos versus the Raiders, and this is at Suncorp Stadium. A really great game on our hands here. First of all, I want to touch on the Broncos, and coming off their win last week, 46 to 12 against the Tigers. And honestly, I feel like it could have been 60 to, you know, if they didn't let those couple of tries in. I feel like there's a couple of little defensive lapses, but that happens when you're up like, what, 26-0 or something like that at halftime. Coming out of half, they were just killing them. Like, it was, yeah, pretty disappointing showing from the Tigers, to be honest. And I feel like this is still not a full performance from the Broncos. I can't wait to see what they look like when they have a full performance put together. Payne Haas is looking fucking amazing. Walshy's still looking slick out back. They just have moments in the game where, like, they kind of just take the foot off the pedal. But, you know, when they put it back on the pedal, man, they're really hard to stop. Reynolds just being that little general, just getting him around the park is really, really good to see at the moment. I feel like, as I keep saying, when this team puts it together, they just got so much class across the park. Like, you're thinking of, like, Cobbo, Katoni. If Katoni gets it together, fuck, Katoni's a freak. Herbie Farnworth's a freak. Like, man, the whole team's just full of guns. And Ezra Mam, and, like, the forward pack is just so good. So, I honestly, you know, coming into this game, I think the Raiders are going to put up a decent fight. But, you know, if the Broncos click in the gear, I don't know too many teams that could stop them other than, like, Penrith or some of the really big guns. So, yeah, and even then, like, Walshy out back is just so, like, lightning. He seems to just have that first step over everyone. You know, whoever's trying to cover him in defense is just really not gaining their feet. and he's just putting on either a short ball or a long ball, depending on that center wing combination on that defensive side. If they were going to push in, he just picks the right pass each and every time. A lot of times that I see him get it wrong is usually comes it down to like the ball getting slapped down and this and that. It's not really him doing anything wrong. It's more so defense doing something right. So he usually makes the right decision. I feel like that's like Darius Boyd really giving that to him as well. Like with the Warriors, he was getting put in those positions, but sometimes he would kind of like overplay his hand. With Darius Boyd, like having a wing, like having him under his wing, those 3-on-2s, all that sort of stuff. Darius was so good at that at the Broncos. So yeah, I feel like that's what's really helping Walshy at the moment. He's a superstar, man. I can't wait to see if he even cracks Origin this year. Kid's a superstar. Moving on with the Raiders. Quickly, I'll touch on the Raiders. So not really much to touch on last week. Honestly, I don't want to like give it to Raiders fans because I feel like, they a couple of injuries in key positions. Obviously, the big chat around them with Jackie White. And I feel like they get a lot of media scrutiny sometimes. Obviously, when you got a coach like Ricky Stewart that tells it how he wants to see it, I feel like the media just kind of feed on him and this and that. And there's like opposite sides of it too. There's some media that hold an agenda to save Ricky and all that sort of stuff, and there's opposite sides. So I feel like that's what happens to him, and it must suck as a Raiders fan to like see him always in the media of whatever Ricky said, or then again you have like people come out and try to defend Ricky for this and that, and then other people come out and it would be really tough. And especially like Panthers can do that to a side. I feel like the Raiders didn't look too bad in the first half, but you got to think they're missing like Jackie White and one of their better players. They're missing their fullback this year. They're missing a lot of like really key position players. They're still trying to figure out a hooker position, Denny Levi and all that sort of stuff going away. I think Zach Wilbrick's actually been real, not Wilbrick, I'm thinking Will Wilbrick. Zach Wolford has been really, really good for them as well. Brad Snyder filling in a position this week. Obviously with Frawley out again, so they have another person go down in that halfback sort of 5'8" position. Fogarty's still stuck in there, but Brad Snyder, I think Brad Snyder does a job. I think he's a really good 5'8". Runs the ball very strong. Reminds me a lot of what a Jack White and sort of player type it is. But, I'm really keen to see him get a crack there and see how those boys go. Because I feel like they are due for a really good performance here. Croker is back too. So that's really good in. But I'm hearing all these rumors and stuff that are going to clean out the club. And Croker and that is going to be one of them. And then they name him this week. So it's like, try to get him to his 300 games, then they're going to clean him out. It just doesn't have a good look to me. So I'm thinking Broncos 13 plus is obviously the smart play here, but I honestly think the Raiders are going to give it a really good crack. It's really tough to play against a Raiders team that has their back against the wall. So I could say it going like 1-12 Broncos, maybe even 1-12 Raiders, but I think the Broncos are just too strong at the moment. They just got that young exuberance at the moment. Yeah, it's going to be tough to beat them. Next up, we got the Titans versus Dragons at Seabass Stadium at the Gold Coast. First of all, I want to touch on the Titans. Obviously, coming off a bye week will help a lot. Still not having Brimo and Foran's going to hurt them quite a bit. Sexton coming in. We got Campbell out back. I'm really excited to see how those boys go. Obviously, Sexton, to see how he's gone after a bit of time in Queensland Cup. I rate Sexton highly. I think he's going to be a really good halfback in the future. Obviously, he's not right now, and he's not Kieran Foran. I'm curious to see what they look and how they're going to go for it, because Sexton's a very kick first sort of player. He's a very good kicker of the footy, obviously, but Foran just engages defenders really well with his running game, and he gets really deep into the line. Sexton doesn't do that as much. Sexton's a bit more of he kind of puts people in the right position, just passes early and just gets them to the right spot. So two different sort of type of players there. I feel like Tanner Boyd should really maybe step up in this one and really take charge, but then again, he's such a young player too, so I don't want to put that on him. I think Tino and Fafita are the keys in this game, and they've been amazing to start the season. I feel like they're both in cracker years at the moment. I think they could be good enough to get them over the Dragons, but the Dragons having their backup last week, they've beat the Dolphins. They're going to come in this one. They're going to really want to back it up again with a really good performance. So now moving on to touching on the Dragons. So smashing the Dolphins last week, but then again, it's very injury riddled Dolphins. I don't know how much to read into that. I thought their attack looked very, very nice. I did feel sorry for him the last couple of weeks getting beat by 40 in performance where the first half they didn't look too bad and then they just drop away. And when they drop away hard. So that is definitely a key for the Titans here, is really make it a grind fest and really come home very strong at the end. But what we do remember too, both those teams that they lost to, the Sharkies, are a fucking gun squad. We saw that with the Warriors. We leaked a shitload of points for them, but their attack is so lethal and it's constructed so well. It's so hard to stop. And then with the Broncos, when the Broncos flick a switch, we saw it. We can see it against other teams where they just bring it home really strong. Obviously, the biggest thing with the Dragons, their defense resilience, towards the end of the game or when they feel like the game's slipping away, they really let it slip. and that's the biggest problem with the Dragons at the moment. So keen to see how they go on this one. I think obviously, you know, Benny Hunt and all that sort of stuff is the key. Hopefully the Dragons go well. In this one, I'm thinking that the Dragons will be enough at the Titans home ground. I might go Dragons 1-12. I think they'll be enough. Moving on to my game of the round. Oh, nah, obviously, boys, you already know me, but you know, it is what it is. We got the Knights versus the Warriors at McDonald Jones Stadium. First of all, I want to touch on the Wars being my team. I want to get him out of the way pretty quickly and like how my thoughts are. No Niokoro coming in this week. I think he's suspended for like 2 to 3 weeks by the looks of it with that hip drop sort of charge. You know, I can probably like talk to the fucking cows come home how I think that's probably like, man, I don't know how to get to that decision. Honestly, when I look at the tackle again and again, it doesn't look that bad. It honestly looks like Talakai just ran through him and he was just holding on for dear life. Swung around and I don't know, man. Like that call was so, yeah, I don't know what to call it. But I am very, very confident in the boys and I'm very like happy to see the boys really put in very good efforts. That's this year at the moment, we haven't like consistency wise, we've consistently turned up each and every game. Even though we have very slow starts, we seem to try and grit it back. And I'm really excited to see how Shawnee goes, especially, you know, with that Knights team that did exactly the same thing against Manly last week. I'm excited to see how those boys attack this week and see. I want to see a good start. That's the biggest thing. I really want to see a good start from the Wars and see if we can really put a number on the Knights. But the Knights are a really, really good outfit. So Bailey Sirenen holding in that spot for Niokoro. Joshi Curran moving up sort of in the pecking order on the bench there. It'd be really good to see Tamari Martin back in this lineup. So I'm keen to see how he goes. Hopefully he is doing well with obviously that concussion that put him out last week. It's a bit more of a concern with Tamari, as we all know, but I'm confident in Tamari. I think he's been amazing and hopefully, you know, he kills it in this game and shows out. Our attack looks very, very nice with Tamari there. And I thought our attack didn't look too bad with Volkman there. I think Volkman's more of a kicker. He's got some slick hands out the back and all that sort of stuff, but Tamari just has this touch. He has this sort of touch to him. So I'm really excited to see how we go this week against the Knights defense that is kind of like leaked some points the last couple of weeks, but they're very resilient as well. So we'll have to see how it goes. Moving on to the Knights, obviously the biggest ones are Jacko Hastings just controlling this team left, right, and center. I feel like that they were the more impressive team coming out of that draw against Manly, more so of like to start the game, Manly were in control and they just really brought it all back, and that simple game plans are what both these teams are very good at. I feel like the Knights, you know, with Jacko Hastings, they just get them to really good points of the field and let their attacking players play. So Lockie Miller is definitely someone we need to watch out for. Dane Gagai's really getting back into form now. He looked really good on the weekend. Frizzell looked very good on the weekend as well as someone that we kind of struggled with the start of our first game of the season. Lockie Fitzgibbon will probably have to D up in him really, really nicely with Shawnee in that. But I feel like Shawnee's defense has grown immensely, especially even during the season. Shawnee held out Kick-Gow and stuff like that. Shawnee's done a really good job there. Obviously, our biggest thing is like we want our edge defense to really hold out the Knights, but they've got a very, very strong edge attack. Greggy Marju just gives me nightmares. Every time I see him on the field, I'm just thinking of like that Titans game where he tore us apart. Like I'm just hoping it's not another one of those ones. But I'm really confident in the boys at the moment. So, you know, shout out to the Knights. I'm really like, I'm happy to see the Knights doing well. And I feel like they won that sort of like trade off with Clemmer going to the Tigers and Jacko coming to the Knights. Jacko is exactly what they need. He's such a like controlling 5'8". And Tyson Gamble's playing some really good footy at the moment too. And it's really impressed me because I've never seen this out of Tyson. I watch a lot of Broncos games, Broncos being my home team. But, you know, Warriors being my favorite team. But I watch a lot of Broncos and Tyson, I never saw this out of him, but he's got a really nice short ball to Lockie Fitzgibbon that I've like amazed me. And then like a couple of weeks ago, having that really nice like cutout ball, bro, he's been playing amazing. And you mix him that with his grit and his determination and like the shit talk. I just love him as a player there. So it's going to be interesting to see when Ponga comes back because it looks like Ponga is back on the training field at the moment. So what do they look like? Are they going to move Ponga back into that and then have Tyson come off the bench at 14? I could definitely see that because I feel like Tyson would be fucking a menace in the middle. So yeah, but onto this game. I'm thinking I'm going to go the Wars 1-12. I believe in the squad. I believe in the boys. But I think the Knights are still a very tough matchup for us as well. So shout out to all you Knights fans. Your team's been going very well lately. And the last game of the weekend at Core Stadium, we have the Tigers and the Eels. I'm going to touch on the Eels first and I'll end it off with the Tigers. So we'll touch on the Eels. not the best performance against the Roosters. Being down a couple of men really didn't help them. Obviously, Penasini going off as a sin bin, and then Simonson going off with knocking out Teddy, and he's going to be out for a couple of weeks there. So very interesting to see they're lining up with Sean Russell and Hayes Dunster out in that side. It's going to be interesting to see, like, which center role. Like, Will's obviously going to hold down that one center role. So I'm guessing Sean Russell is going to be the inside center for Mike Acevo. I would have liked to see Sini. If Sini's still playing, I'm not too sure. I haven't checked in on, like, the Eels squad and see if, like, Sini's still playing in New South Wales Cup or if he's injured or something like that. But I thought Zach Sini was very good in the trials. So I don't know why they went that sort of way of going. I think Sean Russell's a talented winger. I don't know how he would go at center. But the one thing that worries me about the Eels at the moment, and, like, I feel like, I don't know if I have a super coach rose glasses on or anything like that, but when I saw him to start the season, I thought Hopgood was a standout. Like, Hopgood was fucking amazing. And if you want to have their best lineup on the field, I feel like Hopgood should be locking out a big minute role in the middle, and then Maddo should lock down a big minute role on the edge. That's my honest opinion. By the looks of it, we're going to have Hopgood coming off the bench and Maddo starting in the middle. And not, like, Maddo is a middle player. I can understand that. Maddo is really good there, but I feel like Maddo was good on an edge too. I honestly don't believe, like, he made like 50 tackles on the edge against the Panthers team. They beat the Panthers in that way. Like, why don't you continue it that way? I feel like the way Brad Arthur's doing his forward rotation on the bench just doesn't make sense to me. I don't know if I could be the only one there, but having a whole lot of edge back rollers on your bench, and then, like, have your big front rollers play a lot of minutes. So yeah, I don't know. But I got to give credit to RCG. I think RCG's had an amazing year to start with this year. He's been very, very good for them. I thought Hopgood's been amazing, as I said before. I thought Maddo's been really good since he's been back. Obviously, you got players like Bryce Cartwright playing amazing and locking down that second row spot on the other edge with Sean Lane coming back. That's the biggest one here. Sean Lane is back in this team, and I'm really excited to see how Sean Lane goes because I thought last year he was fucking stellar. Like, he was so good, and it's so good to see him back, obviously after that injury. So hopefully he goes really well in this one. But as I keep saying, man, like, the bench of Jermaine Hopgood, who's a middle, Hands, Jack Murchie, and Makatoa, it's starting to look a bit more like they're going to have a more middle rotation. But the last couple of weeks, they've had Dury. Murchie's played a lot of edge, so it just looked like another edge back rower, and Makatoa that, got little minutes and this and that everywhere. So I don't know. I could be way off on that, but I just feel like their middle rotation's been a bit off. Moving on to their stars, though, I feel like, Gutho, Mitchell Moses, and Dylan Brown have had a really good season to start with here. I couldn't believe that whole chat, the whole media freaking circus about Gutho and this and that. Whether it's not true, I think Gutho is a stud of a fullback, and I would have him at the Warriors in a heartbeat. And then I'll push Chance into center and see how that goes. But you know what I mean? Like, he's such a stud of a player. So I'm not too sure what the go was with all that stuff. Mitchell Moses has had a really decent season. I feel like his his try-saving tackle game has been really good. Last couple of weeks against the Roosters, he made a couple of really, really key tackles. Dylan Brown did the same thing on the other side. I feel like they've really tried their heart out for this team. Just sometimes they go through some lapses in games. I'm not too sure what to touch on there, but I don't know. As I said, with the Eels, it's just like, I feel like this is the game that they're going to really, like, show everyone that they're back in business and this and that. And I just hope Hopgood gets a bit more minutes for my Supercoach team. I pray, please. Moving on to the Tigers to finish off the episode. So the Tigers, man, I don't want to put the boot in with the Tigers, but it's just like, it just shows, like, with the way they came out with their team list this week, it just shows what, like, I don't even know what's going on anymore. You got Dewey back at 6, which I feel like is his better position. I'm honestly, like, key with that, but Dane Laurie, I don't know what he's done, but Dane Laurie not getting another shot there. Charlie Staines has played fullback for Samoa. I don't think he's a fullback, in my honest opinion. I thought he had his better game for Samoa in fullback, to be honest. And then I was like, kind of like, oh, maybe he is a fullback, but yeah, I don't know. Honestly, think Brendan Wakeham hadn't been too bad. Lukey Brooks obviously holding down that halfback spot, and I feel like a lot of that is because of media. A lot of that's because of the contracts. I don't know, man. Like, I don't know where else to go with this one. I feel like they've had so many big signings. They got, like, Api Coruscant, Isaiah Papali'i, Sean Blaw's back off injury, Johnny Bateman. These are all classy players. They got David Clemmer up in the middle. Joe Ofahengawi's playing New South Wales Cup, and he was one of their better forwards last year. Stefano Otikamanu is back, and he's sort of playing minutes, but, like, I don't know, man. I honestly, I feel like everyone's going to came to the same decision here. I just feel like that club is just, like, they're torn in so many different ways. And now with the whole New Jersey sort of, like, situation of the Anzac Day jersey, Yeah, I'm so sorry, Tigers fans. There's not really much I want to touch on here, to be honest. And like, hopefully, your year gets better. You got the team to do it. You can flip it around on its head, but it's just when. And I feel like, yeah, it's just when. So yeah, guys, hope you guys enjoyed the videos. Thank you so much for tuning in for this one. I will get better and better at these. I've been writing down my notes and trying to like play off the notes and this and that. I will get better. It just is what it is. The more I do it, the more I'll get better at it, and that's the way things are. Please make sure you comment down below things I missed, things you want to touch on about your team, like how you think they're going to go for this weekend. The last game of the weekend, I didn't really touch on who I think is going to win, so I'm gonna go Eels 13 plus. I honestly think that. So hope you guys enjoyed the video. Appreciate every single one of you guys. Take it easy. Have a good weekend. Peace out.